Shop Dog's checking, making sure there's no nasty squirrels in the yard. But we want to welcome you back to another Pontiac video. Looks like Pixie's got some more stuff to practice on. Learning. Brought the dash. I believe there's a sewing machine in there. That should be interesting. And then during the week this week, I went through and found our leak. It's in that corner. It's actually up on the air ride system on the solenoids, the actual connector. So hopefully that'll come soon. But I did do kind of a pre-camber setup. It isn't very fun on this car because you got to hold the nut on both sides, but I did it. So it's a lot better. You can see, especially when it's all the way down, you can see it's a lot better than it was a little bit ago. And I got the toe rough enough for us to get it to an alignment shop. So car's sitting there. But one of the things that we've been wanting to do is try to get it so you could actually change the rear tire without having to pop a shock. So all the people that lift their trucks, you know, they've got all these different spacing products. So we bought a couple 2-inch spacers. And then this. Okay, let's get under the car. We'll space the top of the shock down. I know you can't see real well, but you'll get to see it as we're working. We're going to start with, go ahead, popping one of these out, putting the extension in there and seeing what happens. Should even clear this exhaust. Because remember, this is as close as that's ever going to be. So, yeah, this should work. All right, this is going to sound silly, but it's been an hour and a half. We kept trying to get that in there, and the bolt that came with them, it's just too short. And it probably wouldn't be if we had, you know, some KYB gas adjusts or something. But when you look at how thick the retainer is here, and you take this, the bolt that they sent us, and you run it through that, by the time you've run it through there, there's one thread left. And oddly enough, we didn't have any 3 1/4 or 3.5 inch 5/16 18 bolts. So we had to go to Menards. It's Sunday in an area where traffic is usually pretty bad on Sundays. And then our wives wanted a little Culver's, and it's Sunday at noon at Culver's after church. So it was a little busy here. So it's been a little while. We almost forgot what we were doing, but we picked up a few things at Menards. Okay, now that we've got bolts that are gonna reach before we finish drilling the hole out down here, we're just gonna see what our exhaust to shock clearance looks like. So we're gonna go ahead and pop that up real quick. Of course, he's gonna turn it around the correct direction, and it's all gonna work. Shut Dan and Dan up there real quick, or Dan and Danny up in Canada. But look at that. That fits. That is not gonna be a problem at all. We may loosen it and slide the shock to one side or the other, but yeah, that's gonna clear the exhaust, no problem. Because remember, the car only goes up from here. This shows how much we still have. We are hard on the bump stop on this side, so that still gives us plenty even with that 2-inch drop. So now we're gonna have to start the car and pick it all the way up and see if the tires will come off before I worry about drilling all this out. This is the car sitting on bump stops. He's grabbing his phone. We're getting ready to kick her on. Remember that I believe the tank is empty right now, so it's just got to run for a little bit, and then it'll pick itself up. And what I want to do is have him take the back as high as it can go once everything's stabilized. So we'll film that. Once it starts, it's going to try to go to 2. We'll let it do that. What I want to know is how much shock travel we have left when we're as high up as the airbag will go. Shop Dog is helping neighbor Jeff with his ice cream problem. He's got way too much of it. But we are now on 3, and that's not going to be any problem pulling a tire off of that. Holy cow. So that's as high up as the shock will go right there. Yeah, that's a tremendous difference. That is absolutely night and day difference. So, yeah, we're very happy with that. Yeah, suddenly you can actually change the tires. Okay, so we just reset 3, and look at the ground clearance that gives you now. Remembering a minute ago, that exhaust was literally laying on the jack. It was hard against the jack, and that's come up. Oh boy, I'm gonna measure that actually. I'm gonna show the people how much higher that came up. Excuse me, shop dog. So, all right. Let's see here. Oh, easily more than 6 inches. In fact, almost 7 inches. So that actually goes from the bump stops to our position 3 is over 7 inches of altitude difference. That's crazy. We're real happy with that. And yeah, nope, changing the tire is no longer an issue. We don't have to take the shocks off to change the tire. That's great. So here is how the front shock looks when we're all the way up. No problem there. Probably still has a little more travel even. But the big one that just blows my mind is how much higher the back gets just by adding that little extension block. That was worth what we paid, even if they didn't get the bolt length correct. That night and day difference. And still plenty clear from the shock. Yeah, you can see the airbag is full. It's at 123 pounds right now. Yeah, that made a big difference. We're really gonna like dealing with this a little better. So now we just we're gonna go ahead and pull these out, finish drilling these holes so that these actually sit in correctly, and go from there. Shop dog's getting bored. We're the boringest people ever. So we've got this one in. We actually wound up adding another shim location here just to get it more in plane. But these holes weren't drilled out. They were still the factory size holes. In fact, this one still is, which meant this wasn't sitting in there very well. So I'm getting ready to drill this one out to the size we need so that this step can go in and locate. And then of course we found another washer for the inside, and that's just gonna make it last longer. You know, we had to yank these off. It was impossible to get them off. You had to unthread them and then take a file and clean them up, and now it'll work. Let me drill this hole. So like that, we have an 11/16 hole, and it only whacked me a couple times. We have just discovered something we're gonna have to deal with right now. The car didn't used to come up this high, and it's not touching, but I bet it wouldn't take too many times for that to clean that rust right off. So we're just gonna drop that down a little bit. We don't even like the idea that that could hit. Okay, we just figured out why we have it clocked like that. We're looking at that and getting ready to turn it. You know, going, oh geez. Well, as he lowers the car, that's gonna get even closer. So right now, he's actually going up, turning the car on, and he's gonna set it at 1 on the little button in the console there, and we're gonna see what that does. Ready? So, yep. Turn it on and hit 1. Because we need that drive shaft to not hit that. Oh, okay. Not a problem. The drive shaft actually goes the other way. Perfect. Right. We've got the rears deflated to 0 PSI. The fronts are still at 50, but we weren't pulling those. They seem to be holding air. We want to go ahead and pull that passenger's airbag and actually verify that we're happy with it as well. We thought we heard a leak. We already know that we've got a leak in here, but the part isn't here yet. Here, let me show you where I'm at. So I verified during the week when I had a night. I came out with some soap and old fat guy. This fitting right here leaks right in here. I got bubbles. So we ordered more. We're not even going to monkey around with trying to seal it or anything. We're just going to replace them. You know, replace all of those and move on. But if there's another leak, we want to find that as well. Because ideally, you should be able to set your ride height. And when you come back tomorrow, it should still be sitting there. So we're working on that. Okay, so we've done some sketch designs here that are actually more solid than they look. And of course I had to pick up the axle to get a tire off because They put a bolt in the top, and we haven't figured out how to get at it yet.
I can't see the nut. I can see the bolt. I can't see the nut.
So we're still figuring this out, because remember, we did not put this car together. Heck of a time getting this figured out here. So we loosened a bunch of body mounts, and then just did some wedging and prying, and honestly, I don't know that that bought us a whole lot of anything. So I think right there you can see the very top of what we're trying to do, which is this guy down here. We're having a hard time believing that they picked the body off the frame with all the corners that were cut. So how did they tighten that? Okay. All right, Tom's going to go check on the salsa yield. It looks like she used every jar that I washed. So this was a big yield this time. All right, what do we got going on? Oh, this is your first experiment with the sewing and figuring that out. You're going to have to get some of those chalks.
I have chalk. It doesn't mark well on here.
Yeah, because he said if you use that on leather, it's going to eventually get wet and it'll show up again. But that's okay. This one's just a demo anyway.
That's just what a pattern.
When learning how to do it. Yeah, it all comes down to what do you do down here? How do you terminate this?
I'm gonna split this seam open, and this will mold in well once you start molding this now. So I'm not concerned with the top, but this bottom one I want to undo it from here, and I want to, play with how I need to adjust that cut there.
Yeah, because there's some couple wiggle woggles here.
Well, that needs to be tighter. It's good. It's good from here and then like up. So that'll need to be, and then just get this straightened out so that lays right. So
yeah,
I'm happy with the way this.
Yeah,
part
that's
looks.
laying down nice. Yeah, that's all laying.
Me and my duct tape.
We've got to get the right kind of grease pencils for this, because he was using a grease pencil on the dune buggy dash.
Yeah, he has and he says in one of the other videos, it's a silver one that he likes because it just wipes right off.
Yeah, no, we're just got to keep getting the tools. Oh yeah, because that's an upholsterer for making clothes.
That works. No, it works really good. I have my blue one, and I use my blue one to mark things on this side of chalk, but it's not good for this side.
Yeah, well, we're slowly accumulating. You saw that your boning tools all came, so they're in there.
Yeah, so, and I ended up, to get this to lay right, I ended up hitting that with spray.
Hey, that's what it's for.
Just so I could, check it out.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
but this is
debating on whether or not I want to pop stitch or just, get a good flat seam and put it on. And I think I'm going to go the good flat seam.
Yeah, no. And then the line itself becomes the actual thing. Because otherwise now we got to find a double thread machine with a post, and then we got to do a French seam, and what color will it be, and how will you get it to lay flat?
I was thinking of just doing it on one side, the top. So
yeah, but with what thread?
Yeah, it's,
because you got to get pretty heavy.
Yeah, and do you go with brown thread, or do you go with
or black or gold, or get some weird orange color?
But
Ollie says we should get French fry color.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm happy with being able to put the seams down like that, so that seemed to work really well.
Yeah, and then it's just figuring out how to get all that to lay and wrap, because that unfortunately is super visible. But yeah, this is. See, you've had a couple weeks of really starting to figure this out. The big thing is, sooner or later, you're going to have to get a bigger machine. Let's show people your little travel machine. This is normally for making clothes and costumes.
Clothes, and it'll sew it, but it's not sewing as well, so I need to get a heavy duty.
Yeah, well, we happen to live in the land of boats, and there's an awful lot of marine machines out there. What you got to find is someone who's retired and said, yeah, we're done, and they're getting rid of all of that stuff.
I found out on Craigslist a few machines with the table and everything, so.
But Ollie is watching me like crazy. What are you doing, Shop Dog? You doing okay?
Have I not fed you enough today?
There has not been enough French fries for a Shop Dog. He's gonna go see if the FFG has got any. All right. So, since we couldn't figure out how we're gonna get that out, we replaced that elbow, put the car back together. He's getting ready to pump it up and turn it on. Then we'll pick it back up. Did replacing that elbow solve the problem? Because we really don't want to have to pull this frame off. We really, really don't. In an ironic twist of fate, now that we got that back together, for some reason, the top of this shock started leaking. Like loud, like it wouldn't even pump up the tank. This really, really quite annoying, actually. And this one, of course, is really hard to get at that fitting. So we really are going to be trying to figure out how the frame and the body come apart enough to get in there. We got to think on it. Luckily, this car didn't have to be anywhere on Tuesday. So we'll keep thinking on that, figuring out how we want to do this. That should be fun. We reseated that and turned it a little bit, so we're about to find out if that solved anything. Okay, well,
You don't hear hissing.
yeah, it's not hissing anymore. The top of the collar has this little notch in it, and what we think was happening was when they installed it, it was a little to the side. Now the thing can go all the way up, and it was just starting to push a little bit on this sleeve and releasing a little of the pressure. So that's what we went in and monkeyed with. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and push the 3 button. Okay, guess we never set this corner too high on 3, so we'll come back in a little bit when we think we know something. Okay, so that seemed to have worked actually. So here you can see when we get that new fitting. Actually, we'll probably change all of them, so you can see how much fun it's going to be to change those. But we'll get those changed because I know this one leaks, and now nothing under the car seems to be leaking. And believe it or not, when this is closed, this isn't too obnoxious. Right now it sure is. And being on 3, that's a long freaking way down for an old fat guy. So you can see she's up there. So this is the tire changing mode, or wow, we did not expect to go 4-wheeling mode. So, yeah, I feel a little better with the back lifting up like that. Since it has held vacuum for months, we're going to go ahead and give it an initial charge, and then we'll kick it up and top it off. It wants about 1.5 pounds, so we will go from there. This will get loud and messy here shortly. We've got about 24 ounces, give or take, in here. And we're on medium right now, and honestly, that feels pretty good. Let's go to high. Oh, yeah. And let's just go dash. Yeehaw. Oh, yeah. Yeehaw is right. Oh, freeze. Oh. Oh, my God, that feels good.
Yeah. You gotta sit in the back and see what it's like.
Okay. Okay, so we only got these guys going, but boy, do they go. Here, let me close the door. Oh yeah, that's quite comfy actually.
That is.
You can see, now we did have to put the big fan out front. But you can see we're holding water, temp's good, considering we got the air running. Oh my God, and it's ice cold. Literally ice cold.
Don't back here.
Yeah, it's cold on my knee, I'll tell you that.
Those 2 pants are coming right between the seats.
So if you go to de-ice, that'll just be here and then run down the length of the car. Yeah, that or floor are the ones you probably use the most. So de-ice and floor. Yeah, that feels great. It works. We knew it would. We just didn't know how well. Okay. And then, of course, it'll stop being AC as soon as you start to turn here. The compressor stopped. And then turn that, and then the compressor should turn back on. So that's good to know as well. ShopDog says, holy monkeys. We've been playing with things and charging things and doing air conditioning things, which took forever because for some reason the house one won't work, you know, the one for HVAC. But for whatever reason, my charge hose it's not depressing the end down correctly. So we gave up and had to use a pistol squirter, but conveniently we knew how much we needed, and then I could still throw the gauges on. AC blows cold, can't complain about that. We're still learning about the air ride stuff and why every time you turn on the car it readjusts, even if you turned it off a second ago, and it shouldn't have bled down. But we're hoping that problem goes away when we add the level sensors. We finally decided that it's not even possible to own air ride without those sensors. You would spend all of your time dinking around as the fuel tank gets empty or full, charging that corner, you put something in the car, your friend gets in and out. You're always going to be playing with that, and that's crazy. Nobody wants that. So let's go see how things are going for Pix. How are things going out here in Pixie's land? Oh.
The top looks really good. And so it just needs sand to be ready. And at the bottom of trying to get the foam around these corners.
Yeah, and get that sanded down.
Yeah, I just want to get it good and adhesed before.
That's a fun word. But yeah, because he definitely showed us that you got to sand it and you got to sand it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're using the closed cell.
Sanding, because it sometimes pulls things up.
Yeah, well, like he says, it's so easy for you.
Yes, it is.
But, no, so that's coming along. So, and remember, this isn't the real one. This is just her learning how to make the template. So, what do we got here? Yeah, having the simple stitch, it probably really is the right way to go with this car. It's getting it curved correctly. And we've got to get the right kind of marker. So let's give them a second to get that stretched out. Okay, so they've been playing with it. And you can see she's definitely learning. Obviously there's something sitting on the fabric there. Yep. On the other side, but you know, figuring out how to do the seam. I think they've already decided against doing a French seam on this because trying to get that lined up I think would be really difficult. Plus nothing else in the car looks like that, so why would you?
Yeah.
You know, so it always looked wrong.
And seam will sit right underneath the edge, so
yeah, so it'll be in the shadow line.
It'll be in the shadow line. I still got a little tweaking to do here. I think I got.
Plus the heat gun should help.
Yeah. Well, it's needs to be a little smaller on the curve. And same thing down on this curve. This one's a little bit more.
Well, that's the point of practicing, though. It's figuring it out.
Then this corner hasn't been fixed yet, so I think.
Hopefully, you can get all that to actually fold in without having to do one more stitch.
Well, what really?
Because I keep wondering if there's actually a stitch here.
No, I think we're going to be able to get it. And this is going to be when the door is closed. That'll be covered.
Yeah,
So.
it's just making sure when you open the door that it doesn't look silly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see what that was our bump. That won't be there in a finished project.
No.
So, yeah, but you can see she's doing all her notes. Mm-hmm. So, all right, Pixie, what are you going to tell the people?
Thanks for watching.